Hey guys, so we're now going to focus on chapter 2, which is percents. One of the things I want you to think about when you hear the word percentage is to think of out of 100. It'll really help you when you start doing word problems and they're asking you about what percent. That's basically what number out of 100. So let's begin. Throughout the lesson, you'll see me refer to percentages as either a number out of 100, which is a fraction, or as a decimal. And you got to kind of think about it. A fraction can be easily represented as a decimal. So when you look at the number 15%, just kind of think of this as 15 out of 100. Sorry, once again with the scratch pad, a little funky. That is not a 16, it's a 15. But anyways, when you have 15 out of 100, thinking of this as a decimal, 1500ths, makes it really easy to figure out what 15% of 48 is. All you do is you multiply 48 times 0.15, meaning 1500ths, and then you will end up getting the answer, which is 7.2. So once again, this is 7 and 2/10. 7 and 2/10 is 15% of 48. So all of these problems are pretty basic as long as you know how to convert from percentages to a decimal. 135% is going to be a number larger than 70. 100% of 70 is 70. So when you multiply 135 over 100, you get 1.35 out over 1 when you simplify 135 over 100. I said multiply, I meant simplified. My apologies. So basically, you are going to be multiplying 1.35 times 70. Okay, and I believe it turns out to be 94.5. You may use a calculator on tests. Even the CASP, they will give you a calculator. When you see questions that ask what percent, basically I want you to think about a percentage out of 100. Once again, the numerator is the number of percent. Number out of 100. So what percent means X out of 100. And then they're basically saying that 36 out of 50 is what percent. So all we really have to do is kind of take a look and see that this number, 50 times 2 is 100, so 36 times that same number 2 will equal the percentage. Or what you can do, if the equivalent fractions don't work out for you, you just don't get it, you can then use cross multiplication, and you can see 50x, and then you can go ahead and then plug that in, and that's going to be 3600. And you can still see that when you divide both sides by 50, it's going to give you your answer. Sorry about the scratch pad and the legibility. It's a little sloppy when I use a mouse to write, but once again, you will get 72 as the unknown variable, which is 72 out of 100, 72%. So 5 is 72%. Okay, so once again, a few different ways of looking at these problems. I would say that your goal to be successful with this lesson is to know how to convert from percentage to decimal, or decimal to percentage. And once again, percentage is a number out of 100. And then once you have your fraction, then you can just easily convert over to a decimal. As you know, a decimal that has two place values, the tenths and the hundredths, will represent this number out of 100. If we take a look at examples 10, 11, and 12, you're going to see that the value of these numbers are either increasing or decreasing. If the value is increasing, then that means that there's a percentage of change between those two numbers. And if they're decreasing, once again, it's still a decrease, change in numbers. What you want to do is you want to first identify the change. And so you can see from 150 to 175, there's a $25 change. Think of that as a sale, a discount. And basically what they're asking you to do is to figure out what is the percentage that this number has decreased or increased from. There's a difference of $25. Now, it's kind of opposite of what we normally look at. Stores will try to tell you, hey, I have a 33% off or 50% off. The Old Navy's, furniture stores, always really popular with trying to entice you to come into the store with a percentage off. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the increase or decrease. We don't like when things are increased. When we talk about retail, we don't want to pay more than what we have to. So in this case, you can see this price 150 to 175. It's increased by 25. So we need to figure out when it is increased, how much out of the total is that increase. So it starts at 150. It's increased $25 if we're using dollars as the unit rate. And then now the new price is 175. So it's basically 25 more dollars than what it was originally. What you want to do is you want to figure out 25 out of the 150, which it started at. What is that percentage, so that you can say that it's increased a certain amount. Okay, so once again, you start with the original price and you then go to the new price, figure out how much it's increased. 25 out of the 150 ends up being around 17%. This object has increased 17% in cost. If it decreases, then what you're going to see is that once again it's a 45 unit decrease, and if we're talking money, it's $45 less. What is that sale? Well, we're going to go ahead and compare it to the original price and then figure out how much it is decreased. So 45 out of the 225 will be 0.20 or 20%. That is, once again, two ways of writing a percentage and decimal. 0.20 is 20% because 0.20 is 20/100ths. Okay, these problems are pretty tough. I think kids are going to really struggle with those because first off, you got to see compare two numbers, and then you got to know what to do with the difference of those two numbers, and then compare it to the original price, whether it is increasing or decreasing. So I would say, yeah, you're going to have to really take your time with that. Now, problems 13, 14, and 15 I think should be really easy, only because we usually, as consumers, spend money and we understand that we pay sales tax. So you are going to multiply the percentage as a decimal by the cost of an object. So we would multiply 9,000 times, and this is where knowing how to convert a percentage into a decimal is going to be really important. That's 9,000 times 5/100ths. And then we get 450. And don't forget, you will have to make sure you count those decimal places. So 450, 0.00 is still 450 as a whole number. But what you want to do is, now that you know that the $450 is the sales tax, you have to add that to the retail cost of the vehicle. So the total cost of this vehicle is $9,000 for the car, $450 for the tax, and therefore then you add that up, and it would be $9,450. So once again, what you're doing is you're multiplying a decimal times the cost of the item, and then you're adding the tax to the retail. So for example, $140 plus 7% sale tax would be $9.80. So it's $140 plus the $9.80. How did I get $9.80? Well, what I did is I multiplied, once again, the 140 times the 0.07. You know that 7% as a decimal is 0.07. Remember, We have a decimal, we have a tenths, and a hundredths. If there's two decimal places there, that means this is out of 100. So whatever is identified in these two place values is the number out of 100. Okay? So I think, once again, we were just above 10 minutes trying to do really quick little mini lessons, show you a few strategies so that you can apply what I've done above to the chapter quizzes below. Good luck, and once again, just a quick little refresher. I can't spend a huge amount of time on reteaching concepts that we've covered this year, but I can quickly go through it to kind of refresh anything that maybe has slightly disappeared. Have a good one, guys.